and this is GamerKulture.
Start.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, I didn't even look up the number, this episode of 31. The GamerKulture Show. 31 of the GamerKulture Show. Blah, blah, blah. You all know about GamerKulture. Let's get right into it because goddamn were we having a good conversation about buttholes and controversies.
Oh, yes. Prepare for the controversial episode. This is because of the whole shit behind Nier Automata.
Yes. Speaking of buttholes, there's been a lot of shit lately. So this is so in case anyone hasn't heard, and I didn't even until Card brought it up. There's a controversy that happened recently with the game Nier, and the controversy was that supposedly they had not animated. What would be the good one? Programmed, drawn.
They drew a butthole on their main character.
On their character
model.
If you manipulate the character just right, you can look up her skirt, and she definitely has a butthole. It's covered by underwear, but it's
actually the offending.
That was photoshopped.
Yeah, the offending image was photoshopped. If you had read the article, you would have known that.
I read part of it, but I was at work when I saw it, so I had to pretend I wasn't on my phone.
Be careful.
Let's be real,
Do not
though.
make assumptions like that.
Let's be real, though.
No, that's what I said. I said allegedly. I was gonna get to the fact that it was fake. Sorry.
To defend him real quick. You know, as soon as this stuff hits the internet, though, there's like people who will believe it without ever investigating it again because that's how the internet works. So if you say there's a butthole in Nier, there's going to be some parents or some people who believe there's a butthole in Nier, even though there's not.
Oh yeah.
So.
Now, to pretend like we were actually prepared to start and did just jump right into this recording, let's go into a quick question, and I'm going to catch all of you off guard because we didn't even discuss a question. If you can think of one, what was your favorite bit of gaming controversy? You know, I'll give you a second to think about it because I know mine.
Oh, I've already got it.
Okay, cool.
I got two.
Sweet. This is awesome. I thought I was going to have to stall for time. Card, go ahead and start.
Killing prostitutes in GTA, because that's all people know about GTA now. I don't want that game where you kill prostitutes. Like, Grand Theft Auto is a goddamn masterpiece, and there's more to it than killing prostitutes. Yes, there are prostitutes in the game. They are NPCs, and you can kill NPCs. That doesn't mean that's the whole point of the game.
I am telling my pixels to move over, to display myself over that other clump of pixels repeatedly until they drop a green clump of pixels that I can collect to make that little money counter thing go up.
Yeah. I just think it's hilarious that that's all a lot of people know about the Grand Theft Auto series.
I just think it's funny because there's never a required mission, I think, to actually do that in Grand Theft Auto. So it's just people doing it optionally.
Yeah.
So it's not like the game is forcing you to. It's literally a sandbox game that lets you can not break the law and play the entire game if you want, as long as you're just doing the missions. But like it's literally just, you know, a free realm for people to test their morality, really. And you know, most people, because it's not real, are gonna be a little bit do illegal things. Like they're not gonna leave and actually shoot somebody in the real world. They're just gonna They're going to
do it in the virtual world because nobody cares about the virtual world because that virtual world is not real.
Yeah, because, like, I mean...
My video game isn't real? My life is shattered. Sword Art Online was a lie.
No, Kuma, you're not actually married to all those women in Skyrim.
You don't know my waifus! They love me! Bookworm, you said you had two. What are yours?
My first one actually is related to Grand Theft Auto. It's the whole hot coffee controversy, which actually was a little real. But the reason I find it hilarious is because, okay, so for those who don't know, who might be too young to know of the hot coffee controversy, so essentially there was a programming left in the game for essentially a sex mini game, but they took it out.
It was probably just a joke from a developer that they forgot to take out. That's probably all it was.
they took out the main command, and you could not access it on console. Even after this was discovered, there's no way you could access it on console. But of course, when it came out on PC, people found it, and they made a mod known as the Hot Coffee mod, which let people access it. And granted, I don't remember what year this was, but this was like early 2000s, so it was the most...
Like 2005.
Yeah, it was the...
2005, around there.
When you think of a sex minigame, it was literally the most primitive, and the pixels were still shit, so it's not like the realistic stuff we have today. But it was literally just like, press circle to hump. That's what it was, if I remember. It's so primitive. And the thing about the controversy to me is that you had people that are like, think of the children who are playing this game and they get to do, sexy time mini games. And I'm like, why are your kids playing Grand Theft Auto? A game where you can
a little
shoot
game
people
called
in
God
the
of War.
head. Yeah, that wasn't there. And then, like a few years later, there was a sex mini game in God of War, and I think I heard no controversy.
Yeah. One?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that I find funny about that controversy is that people were saying, we have to protect the children from sex in sexy time in this game that's not even meant for children and has super amounts of violence. And I'm like, so we're just going to ignore that and focus on the minigame that's not even supposed to be in there.
That's a really good point. This is a game that's meant for adults.
Yeah.
And then you have to mod said game in order to even see that. So you had to play through that scene to know it was there, replay the game, and with a incorrect version of the game, like playing it not intended. Yes, it was there, but that was not. They didn't intend you to see that. You had to basically hack the game in order to see it. So if an adult says, "I'm playing this game, I want to see what's happening off to the side. Allow me to illegally, mess with this game." And now I can see what's going on. And like you said, it was humping the simulator.
Yeah,
just want to clear it up. Modding games is not illegal.
Yeah, it's not.
Fair point. They weren't doing anything online. It was their own game. But yeah, when you start complaining that little Johnny playing Grand Theft Auto, ma'am, first mistake.
You have a little Johnny instead of just Johnny.
Yeah. Well, little Johnny's playing the Grand Theft Autos. Ma'am, I could think of probably about 10 other things in that game that you probably also don't want to do.
Little Johnny just stole a car and ran over 3 prostitutes. I don't think sex is the most...
But let's complain about that coffee shaking on the coffee table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
and then my second one is much shorter, and it has to do... Anytime I look at video game controversies, I always look at, why are you focusing on this that's so stupid? And the other one was, and it's Fox News, and you can look at the clips for this, because it's hilarious if you've ever played the game. And it was when Mass Effect 1 first came out, and they did a whole bunch of newscasts about the sex scenes to the point where they were like, these are full pornographic sex scenes in this game. And,
no, they're not.
And you're if you buy this, it's essentially a sex simulator. And I'm sitting here and like, you can look up these clips. Just type in Mass Effect Fox News controversy on YouTube, they'll pop up. And then like people who play the game. Oh, no, that's funny, though. And people who play the game actually know, like, these are the most censored implied sex scenes I've ever seen.
Are you kidding me?
Especially
it fades
in
to black. It
fades to black. You see nothing. You see maybe some kissing, and maybe it's implied they're naked.
Was in Mass Effect 2, where you see Miranda's bra.
Yeah, and like these are very tame, and I'll
give you one better. The one, I think probably the worst, the most explicit, was the one character you aren't even shown to be like having a relationship with, was
Kelly Chambers.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Because she does like a sexy little dance for you in lingerie. It's like, that's the most skin of any character you can romance, and she's not even what I would consider to be a romanceable character.
In her lingerie, it only has an opening right here on her boobs. Like
she has a little boob window.
It's a skin suit. The whole thing, it goes all the way down to her legs. It's like
Power Girl shows more skin than Kelly does.
So the controversy behind that, I just remember watching that report and seeing Fox News lose their shit, and it's like, have you actually played the game? Even if you haven't played the game, have you watched the sex scenes online? Because there's so, especially since it was the first one. Because I would say Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 had more raunchy sex scenes in it than 1. 1 was so tame by comparison. So those are my two, because I just find them really funny.
Squeaky?
So, y'all want to hear mine now?
Bring it on.
Let's do it.
It's not that exciting. I'm sorry, I built it up for no reason, didn't I? My favorite controversy to look up is mostly about the symbols and how people like freak out. Oh no, it's the Nazi symbol. They're promoting that. I'm like, do you not know what that origin is? The Nazis were not here all this time. They actually used that, and now I hate that they used that because now it means something bad when it was really something good.
Oh, it's a triangle. Illuminati confirmed.
Oh no! Just little things like that. Like, people will just like look at a picture and just find whatever they wanted. I think I've showed you some videos of this person named Chad Tronic. He does YouTube videos about like these reactions, especially news reactions of different video games and card games and whatever. And the main thing has been Pokemon, where people are just flipping out about Pokemon, especially Christians are flipping out about Pokemon and saying they're Satanists.
Christians have been flipping about Pokemon since it came out in '98.
Oh my gosh.
And let's clarify, not all Christians, but the super radical, crazy ones.
Super radical, yeah.
Yeah. Like most people, I know too many Christians in real life who play Pokemon and don't give a shit, and they read Harry Potter and all that. But it's got the radical ones who are like, this is a way to Satan, and you're like, calm down. Calm down.
Like the video was hilarious.
That's a Pikachu.
That demon just evolved.
Yes. The video was hilarious because it took the picture of the Pokemon poster, like from the Pokemon movie, where it had Mewtwo and Poliwhirl and Pikachu and everything. So they had Mewtwo, and they like showed, okay, here's Mewtwo, and you know how he always has like his hand out, like he's doing his like telekinesis power.
It's like because he has
3 fingers. Guess what they're thinking that it is? They think it's Diablo.
Really? I thought Mewtwo was just rocking out.
Can I say something about that too?
For that,
everyone's like, okay, if I do this, what do you think of?
Rock out.
Rock out. Do you know what this is from?
What?
This is an old Italian hand sign, like country, like folk hand sign. You would do this to ward away evil. It's a thing Italian Christians would do to ward away evil. There was a drummer in a band who would do that at the beginning of every concert as like a good luck charm. It's like, oh, my grandma would do it. So he would go like this as like a good luck charm. And fans start going back. It's like, are you kidding? This is like when people take the upside down cross and start being like, it's a demon sign. It's a goddamn symbol of a martyr.
But religious issues aside, we personally don't want to spark controversies.
Yeah.
Or do we?
Okay.
Let us know in the comments below.
Now we get on to my controversy.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit on stuff like this before, mostly on taboo things or things that we find offensive in games. And I know that we just spent probably, 75% of admitting ours are all things that I know Emily finds offensive. Squeaky.
Yeah. In some sense, yeah.
And that's everyone finds different things offensive.
But there's a catch. Even though it's offensive, I don't think that it should be banned.
Exactly.
It just means that I don't play it.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
When we talked about that, I mentioned the lust level in Dante's Inferno literally having wall vaginas.
It's true.
That spit out enemies that have tentacle vaginas. Hey guys, we have to go deeper. Sorry, I had to. I saw it. But going into that game was one of my favorite gaming controversies because it sparked a lot of religious hate. People were saying, "Oh, well, these people they hate the Bible and they hate Christianity and they're mocking this sacred thing and da 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 da." Y'all realize that was a poem, right? Mm-hmm. That was a poem written about this person's interpretation of hell, using his interpretation of what the most important sins were, using his interpretation of like where certain people would end up. The 7 deadly sins don't even appear in the Bible as such.
You know what's the best? You know what is the best thing about that book too? It was actually panned by old Christian, and I think it still is for some, because the guy who wrote it literally put people he didn't like who were religious, who were in the religious in there as punishments because he didn't like them. So like he put one of the popes in like I believe it's like greed or something, and like so it was a banned text for a while. So
the woman that he's chasing after, God, what's the name of his love? Beatrice. What that was like wasn't even like a wife of his, but she was a real person. She was a woman that he was in love with, who like married someone else. So he basically wrote fan fiction. He wrote friend fiction, is what he did.
And he put all of his enemies, including people he hated in hell.
Thing about that
is a level of petty I can admire.
It's a divine level of petty, really.
All right. Do you want to know something funny about that game, Dante's Inferno? I remember this when it was coming out.
Great game, by the way. If you love God of War, play it.
Yeah, I want to play it. EA published it. To advertise the game, they hired protesters to protest outside the developer's office.
Yep, I heard about that. Wow. That's a fun controversy too. Like the idea of, what is something like that okay? Like when you find out, let's talk about that for a sec. What do you feel about that? Because when I found out about that, I was kind of upset, honestly. I'm like, from a marketing standpoint, fucking brilliant. Mm-hmm. Nothing will sell your game like a good controversy. Mm-hmm. But that aside, knowing that you paid a bunch of people to have controversy about your game, I almost felt cheated. I'm like, no, I actually felt kind of justified enjoying it. That people, like, I'm sitting here enjoying something that other people just hated, and for a dumb reason. But like the idea of like, oh, it insults Christianity. It has very little to do with like mainstream Christianity.
Well, the source material had very little now people actually do think it's a religious book, which I always find funny because I've read the entire Dante's Inferno and I'm like, it's not a religious text. It's a guy making fun of people in religion, really.
Now, does it draw a lot and use a lot of Christian, like the Christian mythos?
Yes, it does.
Like, absolutely. I mean, when he gets to the final layer of hell, which is reserved for treachery, it is Satan with 3 heads chewing on Judas and 2 other individuals whose names I forget. He's chewing on Judas and 2 other like great treacherous individuals. Which in the game, he's not chewing on them. Instead, they're like giants and they're like fused into a giant frozen wall. Yeah. But I'm like, actually, you guys got off pretty easy in this game. But yeah, I felt kind of cheated that that controversy was actually kind of fake. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of.
But if you want to talk about another real controversy for dumb reason, we can go right back to the beginning with Nier Automata. With
Nier Buttholes. Yeah,
Nier Buttholes, which turned out to be photoshopped. And the developer's response to it was absolute gold.
Oh,
this was amazing. This man is my hero now.
To paraphrase, he was basically said, wow, there's a lot of people doing stuff like this. It would be really cool if someone just kind of gathered it all up and started posting it.
No, not only that, gather it all up and send it to us. Here's my email.
Which is kind of cool and also kind of creepy. It's like,
dude ended up with like over 100 gigabytes of pure pictures. So the internet fucking delivered.
I just would have, if I didn't tweet him because I didn't. So they had to translate his text from Japanese, so I didn't know if he would be able to understand what I would tweet him. But I just would have sent him a link to Rule 34, the website, and I just would have been like, type in Nier. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. But yeah. I didn't want to, so I was busy. But that's what I would have done. I would have been like, here's your collection. Pretty sure it's going to be on this site.
Go nuts.
Go nuts. Yeah.
Squeaks, how do you feel about it?
I mean, it's ridiculous that somebody just like straight up took a picture and then and they photoshopped it and then they put it on there. It goes with that whole thing of like trying to stir up trouble. Like with what was that movie called? The dog movie?
Oh, Dog's Purpose.
Yeah, and how they like filmed this whole clip of, or not a whole clip, they clipped it together. They like had cuts in it where a dog was getting in the water, and it was filmed in such a way to make it look like the dog was being forced rather than like a trainer doing his thing.
Now that wasn't an intentional unless some news came out that I haven't heard, but that wasn't intentional to drum up views for the movie. That was like someone intentionally trying to slander it.
Here's the thing. That was it was somewhat connected to PETA, and anytime PETA gets involved, hey, I'm going to slander their organization. I don't care.
Oh my god.
They tend to edit stuff. So they edited the video to make it look like abuse, but this is also something they have done before. Mm-hmm. So anytime they're involved and they support something, you should always be somewhat suspicious.
PETA's just
Y'all ever play Pokemon Black and Blue?
Oh yeah, I've played it. It's so over exaggerated. Pokemon encourages
beat the shit out of Professor Oak. I'm just saying.
Pokemon. In case you guys didn't know, Pokemon encourages animal and dog fighting to PETA and no other sane human being on the planet.
All right,
apparently.
have you heard the latest from PETA?
Go on.
All right, how much do you guys know about the Warhammer 40k universe?
Oh god!
Oh my god, I've heard this one.
Yeah.
I've heard this.
So there's this. It takes place 40,000 years in the future. There's humanity has super soldiers called Space Marines. Some of these Space Marines are something wolves, like different chapters, so different color space wolves. So to represent space wolves, they have fur over their shoulders.
Because they live on a planet where wolves are the size of trucks.
Yeah.
And that's the little ones.
So to them, a rite of passage is go kill one of these wolves and wear its pelt.
And don't die.
And don't die.
I don't care.
Yeah. So PETA's like, hey, don't have Space Marines wear pelts anymore because that depicts them wearing animals. It's like,
can I get mad for a second?
This isn't real. This isn't
You
real.
Before you get mad, let me go over my favorite PETA controversy. This is an old one though.
Sean's about to explode. He's a ticking bomb.
In Assassin's Creed 4, which is one of my favorite games, they have whale hunting.
Yeah.
And they got mad because they were like, you can't depict whale hunting in this game, even though it's a historical game where they freaking did whale hunting. They're like, it's going to encourage whale hunting. And I'm like, yeah, let me just get on my rowboat, grab my harpoon, and go and start stabbing whales, because that's what they did in the freaking game.
So real talk, how long until they try and take whaling out of Moby Dick? Like, do we have a timetable for that? A couple years? Are we talking months?
Tomorrow. Probably once this uploads.
Sounds right. Okay, so
Explode.
Really quick,
kaboom!
About the Warhammer thing. This is a game, this is a genre that inspired the name of a genre. It's grimdark. That is the genre name, grimdark. This is the 40k universe. 40,000 years in the future, there is only war. You are a meaningless number in a machine that spits out bullets against other races that are machines that spit out bullets.
And sometimes
they don't have time to give a fuck about what animals they're killing when they are literally glassing planets to deny one fleet of ships the resources to take said planet. And you're worried about a goddamn wolf? I didn't care this much. Damn it, PETA!
Damn it, PETA, you're being a PETA.
The last time I cared about a wolf this much, I was watching Princess Mononoke.
So, I mean, like, to segue, I think...
Is that normal?
What?
I think your mic is dead now.
Yeah, I think you killed your mic.
Is it dead? Hello?
No,
it came back. It came back. It just needed... It needed to take a break. So to segue, I think that when there's a legitimate controversy, it's very rare. I think a lot of video game controversies are super overblown, and they usually end up with something getting either changed or banned, which I always find really wrong, because you can always decide not to purchase it, not to buy it, not to do that. I mean, there are a few...
That's how you deal with controversies like this. If you find something in a game you don't like, don't buy the game.
Speak
Go buy
with your
games.
wallet.
Yeah, speak with your wallet. Go buy games that you want to play. It's
There are
really that simple.
There are a few exceptions. I mean, because it's illegal. Like, obviously, you can't have a game that has child porn in it, and you also can't have a game, at least in the U.S., that shows like super depictions of bestiality. But that's because that's covered by legalities. But other than stuff that's covered by the law, I think anything should be allowed in games, and you need to speak with your wallet.
Agreed.
So.
Do you think that's an interesting point. Do you think that it's acceptable for a company to respond to these complaints by removing the offending content if that content is within their legal right to depict? So like you said, obviously not bestiality or child pornography, but if it's within legal bounds of the country that it's being depicted in, is it acceptable for them to respond by saying, "Oh yeah, no, we're sorry that this was offensive, we'll take it out," or is it just, "No, suck it up and play something else"?
If you're gonna, it really depends. If you're talking about the Tracer controversy with Overwatch, that's a completely different thing. Blizzard was thinking about taking it out anyway because they felt it didn't fit with Tracer's personality. Then
Is that what they said or what they responded?
What they said. That's what they said. We were thinking about taking it out anyway, and now
they wanted. They actually clarified it. They said they wanted her to be more like a pinup in her poses, and they didn't feel like that pose reflected what a pinup artist would do.
Yeah.
So they changed it to a more pinup-y pose. Yeah. So they actually had kind of a reason.
Yeah. And like, since it sparked controversy, okay, we'll take it out. We'll put something else in that looks better. And they did. Yeah. The new pose looks so much better.
It definitely looks like what they were going for, which is a pinup model. So I get it. I think it's okay for a company to do so because it's their product. However, I do get a little sad when they do it solely because of public pressure. Because it's like, another controversy was Dead or Alive 3. Now, Dead or Alive 3 is not a game I would ever play because it's not my thing. And that's like, I mean, essentially it's fan service. And
Dead or Alive has degraded so much.
The first one was actually a very good volleyball game.
Yeah.
And like Card said, as it's gone on, it's become less about the volleyball.
Actually, Dead or Alive 3 is a fighting game. Like, Dead or Alive was an amazing fighting series. And it just devolved into the girls.
Oh, I'm talking about the volleyball game that they made.
I'm talking about the volleyball game.
I mean, it applies to both, really.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, it's not a game I would ever buy. And, but I'm not going to judge people who buy it because obviously if you buy the volleyball, you're not really buying it for volleyball. We know why you're buying it.
Yeah.
And it's not a game I would buy. But I mean, the fact that the game didn't come out here because so many people are like, why are you making this game that just objectifies women? And I'm like, you don't have to buy it. There's not a line that says, here is your monthly required purchase of some game you don't think you're gonna like. We don't do that in the United States.
Here's your monthly required purchase of smut. Enjoy.
Exactly.
It's kind of like saying, I really want to play God of War, but I'm really sensitive to depictions of like blood and gore. Like, you guys need to reduce the amount because I really enjoy this game, but I'm sensitive to that. The correct response should be, oh well. Play something else.
For God of War.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry.
For God of War, it's
I don't
part
care.
Of it.
Yeah, I don't care if you really like the gameplay, but this offends you. And go and play something else. Find another game that has similar gameplay, but doesn't have that. Because a lot of people, that's part of the experience, is just the ridiculous ways that Kratos can find to dismantle an opponent. Rip out a Cyclops' eye and shove it down its throat. Disembowel a centaur.
Probably nowadays on PC, you can probably pick up a ROM of the game and edit it yourself if you
probably
really
can.
Want to.
Nowadays, you could probably find. I hope you guys can't hear that siren. But yeah, nowadays you could probably find mods that reduce violence.
Possibly.
But I mean, and in God of War, it's become a staple thing now that there's at least one, over the top yet cleverly disguised sex scene. I think
cleverly disguised.
Okay, hang on.
Cleverly disguised.
In the first I'm thinking of the one where he went off to the side to have, to enjoy the harem girls that he found, and it cuts over to
That's the first
the
one.
peeing water fountain.
That's the second one.
Oh, they did the second one? Okay. Yeah, they got more explicit as the games went on.
God of War 3, you
God.
don't see him having sex with what's her name?
Aphrodite.
You don't see him having sex with Aphrodite. Instead, you're watching her two topless handmaidens grope each other while they watch. I'm just like,
okay,
all right, guys, you were creative here at first. Now it's just like you don't want to watch this porn. Here's more porn. It's like I actually liked it more when you guys were creative about this.
I think the first one was a vase, and the vase just
Yes.
rocked more and more. And when you finished, it went off the
Fell.
side and shattered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then the third one, when you finish, the one handmaiden pushes the other one to the floor.
Yeah.
God
And-
of War. Aphrodite, the only goddess you don't kill. At least you don't see her die. You do drop Mount Olympus on itself, though, so I'm going to assume she didn't make that.
Do you kill Athena?
Yes.
I don't remember that fight.
You kill Athena in 2. You go to stab Zeus and she dives in front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah,
replay
it
those
was-
games. I gotta replay those games.
I still have to play through all of them, but from what I've been told, it's not like a direct death. Like he wasn't meaning to kill her. He was trying to kill Zeus and she.
It's funny because in 3, that's when we're getting away from controversies, but in 3, that was one of the things that he remembers and has to forgive himself for, is the death of Athena.
We're getting away from controversies by picking a game that's been involved in controversy, though. So we're never fully getting away. God of War's had a few.
All right.
Mostly they're not interesting though because it's mostly just people complaining about gore and violence. So not one of the interesting ones. But I think it's okay for a company to pull it because Nintendo does this all the time, which makes sense because a lot of Nintendo's
games
products.
are you playing?
They pull a bunch of the. They don't pull everything, but they pull a few things because I think a lot of their games are mostly made for kids. So there's a lot of censorship in the Mario games, actually, where they've changed when they're supposed to be drinking alcohol to they're drinking soda or stuff like that.
A lot of references in Zelda in Ocarina of Time.
The whole thing about changing the blood of Ganon from red to green.
Mm-hmm.
Well, red to green blood. When you're in the Gerudo camp, they changed a lot of these symbols. It used to be the Islam moon and star.
Yep.
Yeah.
They changed that. The
music in the fire temple.
They changed
that. It was a Muslim chant.
They changed that. I think they did something to the Shadow Temple. I think they made it less crypty, which is unfortunate because I think it's literally a tomb.
So the U.S., when it comes to games, one of the things that are used to anyway that would raise your rating is stuff that deals with religious iconography. I don't think it reaches it anymore, but it used to. So there were a lot of Nintendo games that had a lot of religious iconography, and they were from all religions like Christianity, Islam. So they would remove it when it came over here because they either didn't want their ratings to go up or they didn't want to spark controversy because in Japan that's not an issue. The same thing with featuring alcohol.
And that's the interesting thing too, because a lot of religious iconography, like you said, in Japan they have a very different approach to religion. Number one, they aren't a fan of organized religion in the first place, especially not Christianity. They don't hate it. They're just they had a lot of negative opinions when we first started trying to introduce it.
They have Buddhism instead.
Well, even then, most Japanese, to my knowledge, don't necessarily identify with a particular religion. Instead, they tend to adopt a lot of bits and pieces. I know the example I heard was like children will often go to Shinto-themed events. Men and couples will get married in very Christian weddings. They'll have a priest. It'll be in a church. It'll be very walk down the aisle.
We're starting to get off topic here.
Okay.
Sorry.
But no, you're right. It's fun to discuss.
All right, we'll have to start wrapping things up here. Any final thoughts?
The only thing that I get upset about, and I'm just going to say it because you were talking about the symbolism with Zelda, they take out the symbolism from Asian culture. They don't take out the ones from Christian culture. Mm-hmm. That kind of still makes me upset to this day. That
they leave crosses in Zelda a lot.
They keep they kept a ton of the crosses, especially in the first 2 Zelda games, and yet for the other games they took out a lot of the Asian stuff. So that's just mine. Like, I'm not okay with.
There was a theory behind that they felt like the crosses would be more accepted in the West than they would the Islamic ones, which is probably true. But at the same time, I don't think they understand that there's also a lot of people who don't want their religion to be in a video game at all. That's just there's a lot of cultural things that happen between Japan and the United States when it comes to censorship that's really interesting, and we could do an entire podcast about that. But it does spur a lot of controversy.
Card?
Yeah.
No, I think one of the big things I think we touched on that I really agree with was just if it's something, that you find as a controversy should be just pretty much approached the same way as if something offends you. If it's a big issue, don't indulge. And I don't think that companies should relent to pressures for just because there is a controversy. Leave it in. The people who are offended by it, you know what? They probably weren't going to buy your game anyway. They're probably just complaining to complain. Mm-hmm. I would love to see numbers on how many people who complain about these things actually indulge in said thing.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much every time a Grand Theft Auto game comes out, there's always a controversy around it, and it still sells. It's one of the top-selling franchises, so it clearly doesn't affect their numbers. So
you're saying.
It adds to it, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It gets you in the news. Any press is good press.
I gotta say, I don't think I've been offended by anything yet. You know what? That should be a challenge. Find something that would offend me.
In the comments on our Twitter page, send something that will offend Wildcard. One of these days, we are going to find something that offends Wildcard.
I can see it now. Oh, God. I'm sickened. I'm sickened, yet curious. Go on.
The only thing from a video game that's ever actually offended me is it's 2 of them. It's the old Atari game Custard's Revenge, which if you know what that's about, you would know why that's offensive. And
Indian rape.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but that's a really old.
Literally, all that game is Indian rape.
It pretty much is, and that's
the reward.
It is. That's an old game from the 80s, though, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly. But then there's a game from our lovely friends in Japan called Rapeplay, which is essentially a rape simulator. But to be fair, this is not a mainstream title. You have to go out of your way to find it. But the only reason I know it exists is because I've seen people play it to just kind of be like, oh yeah, this exists. And those games offend me, but they're also not the majority of the major games that are sold today. So that's pretty much the only thing I've been offended by. So those things don't make controversies, though. The things that are actually offensive, I find it funny.
All right, Kuma, anything you've been offended by in games?
Oh, man. Have I been offended by? Not really. I mean, there's nothing. I've never been playing a game and been like, I can't watch this, or like this may. I mean, I got really mad at Tales of Zestiria, but that was more because the ending sucked. But I can't really.
You're offended by an ending because it sucked, but not because it was actually offensive.
No, I mean, there's definitely been times where I've thought like something was gratuitous or maybe like needed or unnecessary. I mean, I'll be honest, I really think that the sex scenes in God of War are unnecessary. I get that Kratos is like this bloodthirsty warrior killer who like is just like, these women mean nothing to me. It's like, this is supposed to be a character though who's primarily driven by the rage of the loss of his wife and daughter. Like, 2 women that he loved very much, cared for very dearly and highly very much. And like every other woman we see him come across is just a thing to be screwed and discarded, or strapped to a wheel to keep a gate open just long enough before she's crushed into a bloody pulp, or killed as a boss.
Yeah,
like every other woman.
Alrighty then, Squeaky.
Y'all already know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you personally played anything and then been offended by it?
I mean,
Because you tend to avoid games with sexual content.
I'm very careful about my choices. I research a lot, so usually I don't come across something that's offensive. Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I just avoid it.
All right.
Like even the two games I mentioned, I've never actually played them, but I know they exist, and the fact that they exist offends me, so I would never play them.
And that's how it should be. If you don't like something, don't pick it up.
Yeah.
True that. Alrighty. Sorry about the shorter show today. We're doing this at night. Everyone's really tired. What?
It's not
shorter.
We intended it to be shorter. We could probably go longer. We didn't stream it because we're all tired.
Yeah, we are.
But thank you everyone very much for tuning in tonight. For all your gamer culture needs, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch TV, and thegrandgeekgathering.com. This show has been brought to you by the Grand Geek Gathering Network. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us. And a special thanks to the band Carbonine for granting us permission for their use of their song, Say I Am. Join the gathering. Stay cultured. Have a great week, and GG!
GG!